we can bring in our international affairs editor, Philip Turle. Philip, we have Moscow responding to those written responses from Washington.
Yeah, Moscow, just in the last few minutes, has been issuing a series of statements from the Kremlin about this letter saying that the United States does not accept the fact that Ukraine will never be allowed to join NATO. That is something that obviously is displeasing to the Kremlin and to Russia. They're saying that that is not much cause for optimism in the future as far as these discussions go. But the door has not been shut on this, because at the same time, the Kremlin is saying that it's going to hold working level contacts between Russia and the US, and then Presidents Biden and Putin will decide if and when they meet to carry on those discussions. So the door is still open. The discussions are still taking place. I think that the US has made it pretty clear they're not going to accept what Russia wants. That's to say that NATO can never be involved in Ukraine. It depends now what the Russians do. Now, on the sidelines of this, we have the French, who have been holding talks in Paris yesterday. This is all about what has been going on in eastern Ukraine to try to find a solution to the clashes taking place, or the possible clashes that might take place there if Russia decides to launch a military offensive. The outcome of that meeting was described as giving a good signal to the move ahead. So there is progress on that front. And I think President Macron sees himself as a president who is there to try to put Europe on the map, because the perception here in France is that this is a discussion going on between the United States on one side and Russia on the other. There is no real discussion with Europe. And that's because President Putin sees Europe as divided, sees Europe as not together on what to do, and therefore not as a viable partner in all of this.
Because, Philip, it does seem like a two-way dialogue that the Russians are rejecting, don't really want to include Europe or France in the discussions, even though yesterday, as you said, France held those Normandy-style talks. So what is the French president trying to do here?
Well, I think,
carve out a role for France?
Yeah, two things. The first one is he wants to make Europe a viable partner. You know, France is presiding the European Council for the next 6 months. So President Macron is de facto the man running the EU, if you like, and he wants to make sure that France plays a very important role in what is going on between the United States, Ukraine and Russia. He wants Europe to be in the forefront of those discussions as well. And I think he also wants to put Europe back on the map as a viable partner, not only for those discussions, but in the world, because Europe is, you know, people used to say in the old days, when you call Europe, who do you call? There's no specific person you can call to talk about a specific issue. And I think President Macron wants to give the idea over that Europe is a united force, even though it's not united as far as Ukraine is concerned, and still has a very important role to play. And the other thing that's very important here that shouldn't be forgotten is that President Putin and President Macron are both due to speak by phone tomorrow. And I think President Macron will try to push President Putin to accept or to go more in the direction of Europe and possibly in the United States. Whether he's going to get anywhere on that remains to be seen.
I wonder if if the US's European allies had a say in that response to Moscow. I guess we'll know in the coming hours and days. Thank you very much for that, Philip. Philip Turle there.